Hello and welcome to Matt Loves Eurovision. It's my Eurovision 2023 Top 37 countdown. It's place number 14, Cyprus, Andrew Lambrou, Break a Broken Heart. As always, please do click on the subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and like, share and comment below. The link to the music video is in the description, as also a link to my blog post on this review. So Cyprus have been enjoying very decent streak at Eurovision of late. Until last year, they qualified for the grand final every year since 2015. And while they did miss out on the final last year, they would have qualified under this year's rules because Andrew Lambrou would have got there through on televote. We have our first male Cypriot representative since 2017. So can Andrew Lambrou take Cyprus back to the grand final after last year's disappointment? Andrew was an internal selection for Cyprus. Actually, most of Cyprus's recent entries have been internally selected. But he isn't a stranger to the Eurovision world. He was actually a contestant in Australia's national selection in 2022, and he finished 5th there with his song Electrify. He is, in fact, Australian, but he has Greek Cypriot ancestry through some of his grandparents. His entry in the Australian national final was an up-tempo dance number, but his song for Cyprus is mid-tempo sort of ballad, very much in that kind of solid Eurovision Melfest style. And I say Melfest deliberately because the songwriters of Break Broken Heart are from a mix of Swedes and Danes. And the two Swedish songwriters are prolific writers of Melfest songs. I think one of them had about half the songs in this year's final, Melfest final, I think, were co-written by one of these Swedish writers. Now, I appreciate that perhaps you could argue that I should be eating a concrete mixer of humble pie after praising other countries for having homegrown writers and producers instead of kind of the inevitable Swedish ones. And here I am putting Cyprus high when it has Australian singers, Scandinavian writers and producers, and is backed by a Greek record company. Sometimes you have to hold your hands up and admit that you do enjoy a solid generic song regardless, and this entry does do it for me. And also, I won't deny the fact that he does do smouldering rather well. He's remained in Australia for the pre-party season, so we've not seen any live performances from certainly over in Europe. And the only performance live of this song that I've seen is a clip from an OGE Australia pre-party in Sydney. And on the evidence of that, I think he is able to hit the high notes in this song, which you hear. They are such a big feature of the song, and even without having the vocal effects added. And because they're such a standout part of the song and such a notable bit, it is important that he gets these right. And on the evidence that I've seen, that seems to be okay. I think this has a pretty safe passage to the grand final, actually. He is in semi-final 2, which is the more open semi-final. This is a very solid pop ballad sung by a very attractive male singer. And semi-final 2 is packed through with televote allies of Cyprus. They have Greece, they have the UK, they have Armenia, they have Georgia, there's multiple, I think they have Albania, yeah, there's multiple ones. And they have Australia. Given that he's Australian, he will get some televote points from Australia. So I think this is pretty certain to get through to the grand final. I don't know how much of an impact it will make in the grand final. You can see could get some points from the jury. It's quite jury friendly in the sense that, again, it's well produced, it's well written, it's solid. But I don't know whether it'll make a huge impact. I'm not sure I see it left-hand side, but I don't know. I think in terms of success getting back to the grand final, I think is obviously a good thing for Cyprus. And for Andrew Lambrou, after the disappointment of not getting to represent Australia last year, he does get to represent a country on the Eurovision stage, and I'm pretty sure that will be the grand final. So do let me know what you think about this song and their chances in the comments, and of course join me as we carry on up my top 20. Take care.